This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This table is really tilted.
Excuse me? Am I gonna get a chance to speak?
Maybe I should take that back.
Denied. Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Take a giant step for mankind.
Welcome to the Tilted Table with your hosts, Sean and Joe.
Folks, welcome to another episode of the Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I'm Sean Kabibi.
And I am Joey Joe, the Fracky Mac.
And I want to apologize for my voice. I think I'm coming down with something again.
Well, it's what happens when you live inside of a petri dish at work.
Yeah, I mean, kids are just germ factories, man. Mm-hmm. It sucks. Hopefully whatever it is isn't too bad. I think I sound a little bit funny. A little bit sinusy right now, but I don't feel too bad. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't want whatever it is that you're having.
Yeah,
that's why I'm going to stay way over here.
Yeah, you should stay way over there. I don't want to get anybody sick.
Well, one of the things 2 weeks ago, when's the last time you went to a mall?
Oh, fuck. That's a good question. I would say probably 10 years ago.
Right? I mean, it's...
At least.
So there's two malls here. There's Sierra Vista Mall, and then there's Fashion Fair Mall.
No, don't diss on Manchester.
Yeah, there we go. Dude, I haven't been there in 20 years.
I haven't been there. Is there anything there?
I don't know, but it's a great intro to my story. So I took Cookie on a date night. We went and watched a movie over at Sierra Vista. And afterwards, we were walking around at looking at little shops, and then the Sierra Vista Mall is right there. And I was like, "When's the last time that we actually walked into the mall?" And neither of us could figure it out. I'm like, "Well, we don't have anything to do for a couple hours. Let's just wander through." And I'm gonna say it was the saddest moment. I felt like I was starring in my own YouTube episode about Wonder Year type stuff. It was I would say 70% empty, so like each of the storefronts was like a facade of a picture that looked like if there was a store, here's what the store would look like.
That was like a selling,
right?
Like a leasing marketing thing.
Well, either something like that, or say there's a picture of a record store. Like if you were to look inside of a record store, what would it look like?
Yeah.
And then there'd be like that poster, three-dimensional.
So either they're using it as a kind of a marketing tool, like, hey, you could have your
no,
store
they just
here.
don't want it to be sad,
or they're trying to make it look like there's things going on in that place,
which there is not. Like there is I'm totally pulling a blank here. What's the name of the hot dog on a stick?
Yeah, hot dog on a stick.
So there's like an abandoned hot dog on a stick that's got all the cobwebs on it and everything. There's the Sears Roebuck store with like the metal grate pulled down over the doors.
Wow.
It definitely felt like you're in some first-person shooter game, and the mall was like was your scenario.
I think Call of Duty has a mall map that you can have like Call of Duty in a mall. I don't know. I don't play Call of Duty, but I think I swear I've seen something like that.
And there's some random ass stores in this place, but I was so excited as Cookie and I walked past one of the few stores, and I look over and I was like, oh, it looks kind of interesting. It's got like memorabilia, but like 80s He-Man toys in the original boxes type of stuff.
Wow.
And I could tell there is a ton of loot inside of the store. And I look above the doorway, and the store's name is Time Machine.
Oh, shit.
Yes. Yes. I was thrilled. So Cookie and I walk in, and she looks at me, and she's like, are you in heaven? I said, I think so. And who would have thought one of my versions of heaven would be inside of an abandoned mall? But for those of you out there, I guess they do like Comic-Con type stuff there. Tons of toys, memorabilia, movie stuff, music stuff, but very like mint retro. So I know, and we won't get too much into this because I know we've talked about it before, but we love to go antiquing, but it's not to find like grandma's old dishes or like, here's an Oster blender from the 60s, not that stuff. But to find like old Atari games or things from your and my childhood.
Yeah.
But the thing that made this store different than all the rest, it's like rather than finding the needle in the haystack of these antique stores, the whole haystack was made of needles. I had to leave after 40 minutes because I was like, you know what? I could be here for hours going through everything. So we'll come back at a different time.
So the stuff that they were selling, was it like legit retro, or is it like new versions of it? Because I'm assuming if it's actually like original product, it's stupidly expensive.
I would say there's 70% was original and 30% was repro, but they had like, original. Again, that was the main thing that jumped out at me, is like an original He-Man Battle Cat signed by one of the animators.
Oh God!
Yeah, I was like, wow.
How much was that? It's got to be hundreds, right?
Yeah, $400 or something.
Shit.
They had the original He-Man, like the Castle Grayskull,
Yeah.
like the big box.
Yeah, I had that as a kid. I had that toy. It's worth money if you have it in the box.
Yeah, so they do have it in the box.
Yeah.
$1,000.
Do they have the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier?
They did.
The ultimate
They
toy
did.
for it.
They had original Star Wars toys. Like they weren't in the box, but like I would say they were like a 7 out of 10 condition.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it was great. So for like a random date night after a movie to wander through a desolated mall and then to stumble into something that's really cool. I mean that's been a recent highlight.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Right on, yeah.
So if you're over in that neck of the woods, yeah, it's fun to burn some time.
I'm never going to the Sierra Vista Mall ever.
You
even for Time Machine.
Oh man, but the other last time I went to Fashion Fair, it's just weird going to the mall and the people that's their activity is to walk up and down the mall.
When I was a teenager, that's what, the malls were mostly just teenagers running
But
around.
that was pre-internet.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't even know who's there now. I'm assuming people still hang out there. I mean, it is still a place to go hang out. I mean, even if you're a kid or a teenager today, you don't want to, be in the house constantly. You got to go somewhere.
Somewhere to be on Instagram or TikTok.
Somewhere to sit down and play on your phone. Go back onto Instagram. I'm tired of doing this at home. I'm going to go sit at the mall and do it. So, yeah, I haven't, I would have, there's no reason for me to go to a mall. Like, I don't even know why I would even go to one. Like, most of the time, and even when I was younger and we, go clothes shopping for school, it was just so limited what you could buy. And even looking back on the things that I ultimately would buy for clothing, I ended up, going to kind of niche places, mostly like those head shops. They sold like, rock and roll T-shirts. So and most of my shirts were band shirts. And, every once in a while I'd go to the mall, like buy jeans. But even then, I can remember going to the mall and finding like, oh, here's a color I like, but they didn't have my size. I'm like, fuck, and you got any in the back, and they would go search for them. It just seemed like a big pain in the ass.
Yes.
And, once the internet came out, especially like Amazon, I mean, like, I don't care what it is you're looking for. You could have never seen the thing. Right? You're just in your head going like, I need this thing, and you just created it in your head. And you go on Amazon,
it will be there.
It'll be there somewhere.
Yeah.
You'll find that thing. Like, oh, they do make one of these things, whatever it is there. And what are you gonna do? Drive around town? You'd never find it. You'd spend the rest of your life looking for it around here. You'd never find it.
Well, it was one of the places that we walked by. I was like, oh, crazy! They still exist. Was a Payless Shoe Source.
God, that's still around.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Well, no, it makes sense because cheap shoes, people, not everybody's, as rich as you, Joe. Can buy the Nike Airs, Jordans, or whatever the hell you're wearing.
That was the thing, though, growing up is we did not have money, so we did go to Payless Shoes.
Yeah, I bought most of my shoes when I was a kid.
And do you remember they had the little plastic handcuffs?
Oh, yeah.
And your mom or dad would say, okay, put them on and now walk.
Yeah.
And you're like, what am I going to do? Like a weeble, like it don't fall down type of a deal?
I can remember going to like Foot Locker, and that was at the mall. And I was looking for a specific pair of high tops. I got into this whole Iron Maiden thing, and they all wore these white high tops. And, I remember going to Foot Locker. But I went to like 2 or 3 other stores, and I couldn't find, the ones that I thought looked like the ones that Iron Maiden wore. But I found a pair at a Foot Locker, and so I bought them. And then it just dawned on me, like, how long are these shoes going to last me? So I'm like, how many more pairs do you have? And I bought like another 3 pairs so I could stock up on them.
That's wild. How many times have you ever done that? Multiples of the same shoe?
I'm sure. Well, I shouldn't say that. I did just buy 2 exact pairs of the same shoe probably a year ago. Yeah. So, I just store them because, it takes me, well, depending, because I have a number of different shoes and I rotate them. So A pair of shoes will last me about a year.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple I've done. We don't need to get too far into the shoe topic because, I could talk about this for a long time. But Vans did collaboration. Well, they've done a zillion collaborations, but the ones that I've collected are the Peanuts collaboration, like Snoopy and Charlie Brown, and SpongeBob and Harry Potter. And it's funny because I didn't think at the time that I bought them that these shoes were either going to be limited or sell out in a hurry or anything like that. So I really liked them, and I would buy multiple pairs. And it was funny. I have so many shoes now that I keep them in closets and under other places. And I'm almost done with a pair of checkerboard Snoopy Vans that have been my absolute favorites. I'm like, man, I want to get another pair. So I hopped on Goat, and then I got over on StockX just to check out the price. I'm like, $700 for a pair of Vans. And then I went in the closet and I opened it and I'm like, oh, look at that.
You have an extra pair.
I have an extra pair still in the box.
See, I put those up, sell those. You get $700 for them.
Yeah, I'm still going to wear them, man. Still going to wear them. It's part of my personality.
Stuff like that, I find that I would actually consider putting that stuff up for sale. I actually have fucked around with the idea of selling my GNR album, the Appetite for
The
Destruction.
limited one?
Yeah, the band album cover, yeah, and it's a promo copy. It's got the stamped gold promo thing on it, and it's opened, which sucks because if it was sealed, it'd be worth a lot more money, but it's not. And I bought that thing in probably 1990 for $20 over at some record store. I was just, doing my weekly run to the record store to see what they had, and I'd never seen it, and that was considered, at the time, again, you have no internet, and you knew that they had this band album cover. I don't think it was ever. I'm not gonna say it wasn't officially released. I know that there's copies that were released, but again, from the information you had, it seemed extremely rare. Like this is, they released maybe 10,000 copies, and the record label finally just said we can't have that out there. Whatever they did, and so I bought the record, and again, it's a promo copy, and yeah, I've had it, since then, and it's worth, the promo copies are worth about $500. And I thought about it. I'm like, man, I should sell it. I can buy a repo of it if I want, because I just have them framed on my wall. So what's the big deal to me? I can buy a reproduction and get the same thing. And I understand. I know I get it, but it's, to me, I was just thinking like, but then the other side of me is like, why do I need? I'm gonna sound so stupid. I'm not stupid, but I want to sound like I'm rolling in dough. But it's like, well, $500 isn't going to change my life. Does that make sense?
Well, it's part of your history. Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that both of us have that, that we could sell it. We could make a bunch of money, but, we bought that when we were X years old and we were at this Y spot and we were with that one friend and we treasured it and I looked at it and I've carried it around my whole life. And I think there's intrinsic value in those types of things.
I guess so. I don't know if I feel exactly the same way, but I understand that. To me, it's like, especially with music stuff, it always kind of came down to the music itself. I don't think I'd ever had, bought an album where it's just like, this is, I remember when I bought this album and that kind of history, because I always have that memory regardless of whether I have the physical, the product.
Right.
And the story doesn't change. I bought this thing and the only thing that would change in the story is I sold it. Yeah, then I eventually sold it to somebody for a bunch of money. I actually had gotten my hands on, and this was by accident. There's a band, and again, and most people probably wouldn't even know this. There was a band in the late 80s called Saigon Kick. And
I remember them.
They had one hit, and it was a ballad called Love Is On The Way, and it was your typical kind of 80s ballad, but that really wasn't what they were. They're a very eclectic band. Like, you listen to their albums, and you'll get, your 80s glam, ballad, you'll get grunge, you'll get Beatle-esque type stuff. They were just all over the map. I mean, one of their songs, they do a kazoo solo, and they should tell you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's how eclectic they are. And one of my favorite bands. And so the main songwriter, Jason Beeler, who eventually took over vocals, he ran the Saigon Kick. They released, I think, about 5 albums, and the band kind of disbands. And so this is like the late 90s, early 2000s. He releases a solo album just titled Jason, Houston, We Have a Problem. And he only sold it from his website, his record label, BVB Music. And so, of course, I'm a big fan. I'm like, I'm going to buy that album. And this album, it has, he does techno on it. A bunch of techno songs even. And he's got heavy songs. He's got acoustic. He's, like I said, very eclectic.
Schizophrenic.
Yeah, he's all over the map. but what's weird about him is everything he does is good. Like, it's legit. Like, it's hard for me to say, like, oh, I like this kind of techno sounding song. He does it. It sounds fucking so cool. Right. I ordered this thing off of the internet, and my buddy was also a big fan. He orders a copy of it. So we just have the CD. And eventually, within the year, 2 years, the website just disappears and it's just gone. And you can't get this album anymore. And again, they weren't Guns N' Roses. They weren't a massive band. So this isn't really worth much of anything except to maybe a Saigon Kick fan. And they did have a following. I mean, they sold, 500,000 records at one point. I mean, they are a known band. And so, the internet's, coming into play, eBay's coming into play, and I would periodically go on eBay to see, like, is anybody selling this? What is this worth? Anything? Nothing. So in the last 10 years, Jason Bieler has made a pretty strong comeback. And so he's been releasing albums. He's very active on social media, and he always goes live. And you can just ask him any question, you want. He's like, oh, this or that. And so I told him, I said, hey, I've got your Houston We Have a Problem album, and I was wondering, what is it worth? Is it worth anything? And he looks at it, he goes, you got a copy of that? He goes, shit, I don't even got a copy of that. And I told him, I said, you want it? I'll give it to you. And he's like, no, man, keep it. It's yours. But I eventually sold it on eBay.
Okay.
So again, he kind of came back, and so now, he's doing like these. He had at one point, they got the original band back together, and they did a tour. And so he was getting some love. There's Saigon Kick fans out there, and I put that up on eBay, and I sold that thing for $500.
Wow.
And then here's the kicker. I would periodically go on eBay to look up just if it's out there, and I found it again. And whoever was selling it was one of those, I don't know if it's a music store. There's dudes that have thousands of CDs,
right?
On eBay, whatever their eBay store is. And they had one, 99 cents. The dude had no idea what he had, so I bought it for 99 cents. Turned that around and sold that thing for $400.
Wow, that's like one of the biggest come-ups ever.
Yeah, it was a awesome run. Yeah, and so I that's how I think about those things. And the funny thing is, my friend Kevin, he had bought one originally, and when I sold it for $500, and I had kind of lost contact with Kevin. I hadn't talked to him in years, and he maybe once a year, once every other year, he'd call me up and we'd connect. And so I was telling him, I'm saying, hey, dude, I said, you still got that Houston We Have a Problem CD? I just sold it, a couple months ago for $500. He's like, oh shit, no way. I go, yeah. And he goes, man, I don't know what happened to mine.
Oh, that stinks, man.
He said he believes he lost it at a party. Like, he took it to a party and forgot it, left it behind.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Leave a like on the video. I know you're enjoying this. Can you shut up?
The internet's answer to a question that was never asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
So that kind of like that. Just I understand what you're talking about. It's never been a super big deal to me, but I still probably won't sell the GNR just because I'm actually that lazy. I don't want to pull it out. Pictures of
it, description,
and then also with eBay, too many people rip off the sellers. It's so easy to rip off sellers because eBay doesn't protect the seller. If the buyer says it's fucked up, or I lied, or I sold counterfeit, they just give him the money back, and I'm out of luck.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's a big deal, and eBay doesn't give a shit. They're not.
So why do it then? Why don't you just hop over on Etsy and just do it that way?
Well, I don't know. See, I don't know enough about Etsy. So the thing with eBay is, I think what they lean on is they expect you to document things well before you sell them. So if I just took a picture of the front cover of GNR, and I sent it to whoever, and they burned me for it, and they have to email me something back. They have to mail me something back, and they're going to email me some kind of counterfeit version of that album and say that's what I sold them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have to be able to prove that I sold them an actual copy, an original copy. But how can you prove that? Well, the only way you can really prove it is the pictures on, let's say, on the sale. I would have like maybe a picture of the UPC code or something that would identify that this is the album that I sold him. This is what he returned to me. It has a different UPC code. But then they could turn around and say like, well, he's lying, that he has a fake copy, and he's trying to lie and say that It's a big
People
mess.
are wild, man. It's like I never ever get on eBay. And
I don't fuck with eBay. I only buy from eBay. I won't sell on eBay. I'm gonna say I would never sell on eBay, but I'm really reluctant to sell on eBay. And I only will go to eBay if I cannot find it anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't even touch it. I'm a huge Etsy person. I think I've achieved ultimate power user status on the Etsy platform.
So I should start looking into Etsy then.
It's great, man. I mean, there's so many. I think the difference, at least from my vantage point, between Etsy and eBay is if you're a collector and someone with a fine discernment. How should we say that? And you know what you're looking for, then there's a lot of conversation you can have directly with the seller. And I've over the years, I have relationships with certain sellers that they'll send me a note and say, you know, hey man, before I actually post this, are you interested? And I love that part of it. I like the very community driven, collaborative aspect. It's more expensive to buy off of Etsy and like some of the shipping fees. And I know the sellers will kind of get hosed on the percentage that that Etsy takes out of the sale.
Yeah.
But overall, man, I've had 10 out of 10 experiences across the board.
Well, with eBay, they have, you know, so the people that burn you on, they're gonna be new accounts, and I don't know how they do it. I know there's still have to put in like credit cards and things like that. So, but people create these accounts, and so they have like no transaction history, and then they'll buy your shit and they'll fucking burn you. So I understand that if you're on eBay, I think there's filters. You know, you can say somebody has to have this kind of feedback. So, you know, you can tell when someone's, you know, say the winning, what looks like a winning bid is coming in.
Right.
You can look and if, you know, the person's got hundreds and hundreds of transactions and all, you know, good feedback. Then you know you're not going to get burned.
Right.
But it's still, I've seen enough, you know, YouTube channels where people talk about, you know, they're all sellers on eBay. And like this one guy, he had a Lego set, like a really expensive Lego set. Mm-hmm. And so he sells it and the guy returns it and says that, you know, he got burned. And the guy returned the original box, and he just took bags of macaroni and threw it in the box. And you shake it, it sounds like Lego pieces. And he claims that that's what was sent to him, with these box full of macaroni.
That's insane.
Yeah, and so the guy on the YouTube channel is just talking about, like, you know, he's fighting with eBay, and eBay just completely protects the seller. I mean, the buyer. They don't protect the seller at all. So, you know, he's like, you know, I lost money on this.
I mean, just hearing those kind of stories and knowing like with counterfeits or fakes and all that kind of stuff, it's just enough that I don't even touch it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot more, Etsy's platform and their mobile app is super user friendly. If I get bored and I'm just chilling on the couch and I'm looking for old Thundercats, China or something, right? It's just like doot, 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 doot. And then I can like doom scroll for a while and favorite things, come back later. And yeah, man. But going back to, that's why you have to go check out Time Machine in the Sierra Vista Mall.
Well, maybe I'll go down there and check it out. Yeah. It sounds like actually, now I'm thinking about it, I think I could do something with that store.
You can grab an Orange Julius before you walk in there.
Wait, there is not an Orange Julius.
There is not. There is a really nice tea store that's out front, and I'm not a big tea person, but Cookie was like, why don't we just pop in here and get something to drink? And it was funny because we walked in, and I don't know anything about tea, but the lady was very nice, and she's like, can I help you guys? And behind her in these like really nice jars is at least 100 different teas.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And she said, can I help you guys? And I said, I'm just very overwhelmed right now. I don't even know what I'm looking at. What has the most caffeine? That's what I want.
Hey, nice choice. That's what I would have gone with.
And then it was funny because she just rattled off some blend out of like, I don't know, Indonesia. And I'm like, sure, sounds good to me. She's hot or iced. Surprised me.
Mm-hmm. Did it get you wired up?
My tolerance is pretty darn crazy, man.
So yeah,
I think you can measure my intake in grams at this point. So yeah. I think I went home and took a nap.
Oh my God. So what other stores are at the Sierra Vista Mall? Like, what's still open?
There's kind of like a collectible, you know, it's the usual, like, do you want Jim Everett, quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams signed jersey, like those kind of places with things that you don't really.
A Jim Everett signed jersey, they'll be out of business pretty quick with that. That's what they're offering.
It's just like, oh, that's interesting, but I wouldn't buy it. Which, hence the reason why that store is probably in a desolated mall.
So are the majority of stores independent like that? Is there any chains?
No, maybe like one or two.
Well, like, is there like a J.C. Penney, like a big clothing store of some sort?
No, man, the whole thing's basically empty.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah, it's like walking around an apocalyptic mall.
Well, that's probably every mall.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be as bad as Manchester. Nothing is as bad. I don't think there's one store in Manchester. They got the Caltrans there.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're converting into apartments, so they're trying to, I think, make part of it like apartments with retail. So I guess it's supposed to draw retail if they have apartments inside the mall. That's what they're doing.
Interesting. I've heard of an idea that I was like, oh, that actually is a great idea. With abandoned malls, or because most of these places are actually in fairly decent locations.
Yeah, is
to turn them into like assisted living centers.
Yeah,
where you have like different everybody's got a room. There's a central atrium area. Doctor places and all that kind of stuff. I think that's a great idea, and they have the parking already in place for it.
Yeah. No, it's not a bad idea. I know at Manchester they have one of those trade schools. I don't know if it's like UTI or some shit like that. So there's businesses in there. I haven't been in that mall in 20 years at least.
Yeah,
I think there used to be, I think, a steak restaurant in there, and I think the last time I went was to go to that steak restaurant. That had to be at least probably when I first came back to town. So it would have been like 20 years ago.
I think I was a teenager, so. We're talking like in the 90s.
Yeah, so I would have been early 2000s. Yeah, mm-hmm. 2005, 2006, somewhere in there maybe. But every time, because it's close to the Beehive, so I have to drive by it when I go to the salon. And I can't, there's nothing, like there's no signs that suggest there's anything in there.
Desolation. It's we were talking earlier, as we get older and we're trying to explain to younger people mm-hmm. about things that were very normal realities in our life, like answering the phone, like picking up the phone off of the wall receiver, and they look at you like, "How old are you? Or did you also write letters with a stone tablet and chisel?"
Well, I mean, in my classroom we have a phone on the wall, so they see me pick that thing up all the time because goddamn, the office constantly calls my fucking room. So
Does it work?
Barely. It's all staticky. I told them they should fix it and replace it because every time I pick it up, just a wave of static. So whoever they're saying like, "Oh, we need the student," and I'm like, hold up. I got to screw with the wire to get it to not be staticky for a second so that I can hear what the hell they're saying.
It's kind of like the fix for that would have been going to Radio Shack back in the day, right? Or some place like that.
Yeah.
And even things like that, Radio Shack doesn't even exist.
And there's still Radio Shacks around.
Where?
Well, I'm not here. I just saw a thing on YouTube. It still exists. I don't think there's a ton of them. There's still a Kmart.
Yes, there is.
I think it's in Ohio or somewhere out in that area.
Blue Light Special. Do you get a bag of popcorn when you walk in the door?
Well, there's a dude on YouTube that he does this kind of bullshit. He's like, "We're going to go to the last Kmart in America." And it was one of the saddest places. They barely had anything on the shelves. I'm like, how's this place even function, stay open? My assumption is that it's in an area where they're the only ones that, serving people, probably in a bad area. That would be my assumption. The only way I think it could stay open, but their shelves are pretty empty. So, yeah.
Well, Kmart was always a very sad place to go. Even me growing up, and we lived...
What are you talking about? Kmart had the best sandwiches.
Man, no.
Well, I grew up in a trailer park, so they tasted good to me.
Well, it was, there's an older community in Sacramento where I grew up called North Highlands. And North Highlands is definitely at least at that time was super crime riddled. It was the most Cadillacs in density in a certain area, except they were all up on blocks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And there was a big giant Kmart. And I just remember even at, this is like 1984 walking in there. And even at a very young age, I was like, this is sad.
Yeah.
This is very sad.
Well,
I want to go home.
Kmart always had that reputation of being where you went to buy clothes if you were poor. It was a poor people's store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it's weird because Walmart, the reason Kmart went out was because Walmart showed up and buried them.
And Target.
And yeah, I guess Target was always, I think, kind of like, wasn't it considered like one step above Kmart?
Yeah, but it still made you feel a little bit better.
But I felt like Walmart was just on the same level And I don't think
Yes.
people look at Walmart that way. Like, if you go to Walmart and buy clothes, I don't think people go like, oh, what, you're poor? Like, I don't think they see it that way.
Well, aren't there all the
and I'm talking about kids. This is more of a kid thing. I don't think adults think like this.
No, but I think, like all the subreddits and Instagram channels and whatnot, that it's like the people of Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There's not the people of Target.
That's true.
Or the people of Home Depot.
Well, maybe you haven't looked it up yet.
I don't want to screw with my algorithm, man.
I've seen altercations at Home Depot. I think Home Depot's got that reputation. Lowe's is the target of the hardware. Home Depot is definitely the Kmart version.
Is there a Dollar General version? Is that like Ace Hardware or something?
Well, those are the classy places if you go to Ace, because that's like, I think it's like, smaller, although it's not really small, it's pretty big. But I feel like that's where, you go if you have money.
Yes.
It's the neighborhood hardware store.
If you tuck in your shirt when you do your gardening.
Yes, that's where you would go. If you tuck in your shirt while you're gardening, you go to Ace. But yeah, the Walmart, they're always, and I just think because it's more popular, and again, it's got a huge, come on, it's Walmart. It's got a huge ghetto streak in it. So no matter what, you're going to get, the fucking insane people showing up, just causing all kinds of havoc.
I think my fun fact is I think I've only ever been in Walmart twice in my life. Mm-hmm. And it was because each of those times I went in, it reminded me of Kmart as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I've been to Walmart, I'm sure, dozens of times. I don't go, and it's for no other reason than it's just too crowded. I always go to Target if I have to, do that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And at the Beehive, we have a microwave, and it was there for years, and it finally, fried out. So Love calls me up. She's like, can you get a new microwave? So I went to Target. I wouldn't have gone to Walmart. Fuck that. That's the crowds. No way. I'm not going to stand in line with a bunch of insane motherfuckers just to buy a goddamn microwave. So it's like I go to Target and I get one, and, we hook it up. And that thing only lasted maybe like 3 years. And it was like about 6 or 7 months ago, I got the same call. Like, oh, the microwave, isn't working. Can you go get another one? Right back to Target. Went to the same Target, I knew exactly where they were located. And I bought the exact same model again. Or maybe I didn't buy the exact same model, but I just got another one. Yeah, and I didn't even like Target. Target to me is irritating.
Really?
Yeah,
I can do Target.
Yeah, it's not a bad place. It's just I have to. It's weird because you can go buy a microwave in a lot of different places, but right when it clicks in my brain, I'm like, well, Target has microwaves. They're going to be decent price. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure where else I would go unless you go to where else would you go for that?
Best Buy.
Yeah, maybe Best Buy or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so there's some kind of appliance store.
Yeah, the old days of like going to Sears or Montgomery Wards or Good Guys or Circuit City, all. Yeah. Those are all in pages of the past.
Yeah, they're all out of business.
Mm-hmm.
So Sears is completely out.
Yes, gone.
There's not one Sears left.
Gone with the Schwinn.
I feel like there's got to be one Sears left. We got computers in front of us. We could look this shit up, but I'm not going to look at that.
Again, I don't want to screw up my algorithm. I don't care what happened to all these old places.
Well, I'm just curious if there's one that exists, where it exists, why. It's like Blockbuster. There's still one Blockbuster open in Oregon.
That is true.
Yeah, and it's popular. So it's
a destination.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of people, like, they'll do all kinds of YouTube videos, like, we're going to the last Blockbuster.
Speaking of Blockbuster, and that store that I talked about, Time Machine in the Sierra Vista Mall, do you remember when you would walk into Blockbuster and they had the gumball machine?
Oh, God, yeah.
They have one for sale in the window at Time Machine.
Yeah, you could go buy a gumball machine.
No, but the actual like Blockbuster like label, and all that kind of, like the actual. They swiped it out of one of the stores. I'm like, that's kind of cool. If you had a Monster House in a movie theater or something, that'd be a fun piece of swag to have around.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'd be super cool. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely would think more like, I don't know. It's Blockbuster to me was an awesome place to go. And when all that stuff died out, it's kind of sad to see that thing go away.
Death of an era.
But they actually, at one point, they were offered Netflix.
So I remember that.
They started doing what Netflix was doing, which was the mail order, the original Netflix, and mailing out DVDs. And they had an opportunity to buy Netflix, and Netflix was just starting to go with the streaming. I don't know how good the streaming was at the time, but that they were headed in that direction. And Blockbuster said, nah, we're going to create our own.
One of the biggest financial failures of all time.
Sort of. I think that Yahoo was could have bought Google for, I think, it was low. It was like maybe $1 million or something.
That's crazy.
And
really?
and they thought that they could compete with Google, so they didn't buy it. We're just going to bury Google anyways. Fuck you.
I don't remember, or I don't miss those advertisements. The Yahoo, remember all that? So dumb, man. So dumb.
Well, hey, come on, it's the early days of the internet. What do you expect?
They pulled out all of the stops. Anything that was wacky went. I do remember going to visit one of my friends. So this is late 90s. He signed up. I don't know if I'd share this story, and if I did, I can certainly cut it. But it's Sony Music Bank was an early precursor to Apple Store or iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
And so my buddy Dave was a software engineer in San Francisco, late 90s, at a music startup. And it was, when I went to visit and hang out, it was everything you thought that might look like. There's a skateboarding half pipe in the office. Of course. There's people that were wearing rollerblades around the office.
Yeah.
Nobody had an actual legit keyboard. They had a keyboard that half the keyboard was on their armrest, like on the left armrest, and the other half was on their right armrest. It was wild, man. It was like, and there's like lasers and fog machines, and it was like, dude, you work here? This is a business?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, dude, this is Sony Music Bank.
Yeah, I lived in the Bay Area, 99 to 2005-ish, something in there, and so I was around when all that shit was popping off, and everybody was getting jobs at some .com. 90% of them failed. Yep. But those offices were notorious for, like, you go in there and it's like, do you guys work? Because I can't see any work being done.
Yes.
Right?
And it was great. It was like, wait, every meal is catered? All of your food and entertainment, like they'd have massage therapists come in the middle of the day. And I'm like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's why they all failed. They weren't producing anything. Well, I'm going to say they weren't, but the whole banner ads, the way that they made money back in those days were mostly off banner ads. And it just wasn't clicking. It wasn't working.
Literally.
Yeah. So just because, but they seem like the venture capitalists are just like, if you had a .com, just the name,
throw it on the end of whatever.
Yeah, and then just basically like, oh yeah, we do something, and then like here's millions of dollars to, because everybody thought that was the new thing, which it was the new thing, but obviously they didn't know exactly what they were doing, so everybody was just throwing out all kinds of ideas.
Well, that's the thing is, like, if you were to say, you go back in time, and what are 2 ideas that you wish you could tell your younger self, like, hey man, you totally want to get in on this. Like, I'm not a big crypto person, but I would still totally get in on that. And number 2 is domain names.
Yeah, a lot of people got rich off of that. I got a domain name and sold it, but it was a little bit later in the game. But I know there was a dude, I think he was from Visalia. He got loans.com and he sold that for millions. I don't know who owns that now. But yeah, the generic names were huge. If you could get cars.com or whatever, just a generic.
Movies.com.
If you had bank.com, I'm sure you probably would made millions off of that. Movies.com, right. The same kind of idea. Yeah, a lot of people were securing names. I know that somebody secured Coca-Cola.com and Coca-Cola sued them and they won. They got rights to their name, and there was a law passed that, like if you are somebody, a public figure or a company, that people can't take your domain name.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that makes total sense.
Yeah, I did a story when I was working for the Oakland Tribune. There was I don't know, it was a congressman or something. In life, I can't remember his name, but his opponents or his detractors, they secured his name.com and just started lambasting him all over. And
that's actually pretty clever right there.
Yeah. So then he went after him and he was able to get, rights to his name or whatever. So, yeah.
But was the damage already done?
Well, I don't know. It's, California congressman or House of, not.
He wasn't like a senator or anything.
It wasn't like Barbara Boxer or something like that. It
running for like the school board.
Yeah. A state rep or something like that.
Got it.
So, yeah. A lot of people did make money off of the .com thing. I got sacrilegious.com and I sold that for $3,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
But it wasn't sacrilegious like it's actually spelled. It's like sack, like a bag, sacrilegious. And I got it because I was thinking, because it was in the early days of marijuana getting legalized. And I was like, well, let me see if I can find something in the marijuana arena. And I don't know who I sold it to.
How did they even find you to buy it?
I put it up for sale. There were websites you could just put your .coms up for sale.
Oh.
And asked the price. They still exist. And I looked up Sacrilegious. See, somebody owns it, and it's no website. I don't think they're selling it. There is some kind of web page for it, but it's just some kind of dead web page. So yeah.
Is it still? It's only viewable on a Netscape browser.
I think you can view it on any browser.
Okay. I miss Netscape.
I don't.
I have an important announcement for you, so stay tuned.
Yo, that's some next level shit, bruh.
So you got me. Big deal.
The internet's answer to a question no one asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
Folks, thank you for joining us for another episode of The Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I'm Sean Kabibi.
And I am Joey Joe, the Fracky Mac.
You can reach us on all major social media outlets at The Tilted Table 1, whether that's Instagram, X, Facebook, and whatever else.
Subscribe, send us some notes, ask us some questions.
And let's go buy an Orange Julius.
That, and reach me at packbell.net.